looking forward to in week 2. And I thought you made a good point too, Jeff. Like, this team needs to get off to a good start. You've got an opponent like this in week 2, like, you're going to be geared up. You're going to be geared up to start the season. You're not necessarily going to have that kind of lull the Bengals have had to start the year these past couple seasons.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where you were talking about. I'm kind of like, well, hopefully with them having the Chiefs week 2, it's like, all right, boys, we got to be ready to go. And things, Dallas, they have got to figure out how to get off to a better start somehow. They have got to figure it out. By the way, Brad, thanks for telling me. I didn't know the show wasn't on YouTube. I thought I put it on there, so I clicked on YouTube, so you should be able to watch it on YouTube now. I don't know why it wasn't on there, but thanks for the heads up. But yeah, that's the thing, and to me is maybe getting them something amped up. Something like, all right, we're going to play the Chiefs. We got to set the tone here. That might help. First of all, we got to get Burrow healthy through the whole training camp and everything, and get him ready for week 1, and then week 2 the Chiefs. That's something they got to shoot for. Not that they're going to look past, which I don't want to look past week 1 either. I don't know who we're playing week 1 yet. We'll find out tomorrow night. But yeah, that's something that maybe will kickstart them. Who knows? I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It could be. I was going to say one of our pre-draft shows at PFN. I failed to put us on live on YouTube for about the first 10 minutes of our show. So I've been there, Jeff, in terms of where it's like it's me and it was me and Ian Cummings, actually, I think, who you had on this show. It's like, we're not actually broadcasting to anybody. But,
I'm sitting, Brad goes, you're not YouTube? I'm going, no, I'm not. I'm like, why am I not on YouTube? I don't know. I thought I clicked it. I don't know. Me and technology don't get along.
Well, you're host and producer. It's a lot going on behind the scenes.
I know. That's what I try to tell everybody. There's a lot going on here. There's only so much I can hold up in this brain. All right, it's not that big anyway.
Oh, me too, brother.
All right, so we talked about the schedule. We talked about Trey Henderson. Let's get to Jackpot, and then we'll get to the title of the show here. But Joe Burrow, today he was throwing, like I heard him last week talk about he wanted to do the off-balance throws, off one leg where it's mostly wrist. And I saw him, Dan Horde tweeted out there, and he threw an absolute bullet. I think it was to Burton again. I can't remember. He threw a lot up to Burton. But he looked, I don't know if you got to see the video or not, Dallas, but he looked pretty damn good to me. I mean, I know we're in May. We got a long ways to go, but if this is his starting point, long as nothing happens, he looks like he's going to be fine come week 1.
It's encouraging for sure. I mean, to see the videos coming out of the work, and I mean, you're right. It's early, but I mean, this is what you want to see. Like, what else do you want to see? Right. He's out there on the field. He's participating. Hopefully, this can be like a somewhat normal offseason for Burrow. Like, I say somewhat, right? Like, he's never had that ever in his Bengals career. So I think if he can, maybe that goes back to what we were talking about in terms of getting a quicker start. If Joe Burrow feels like he's getting a quicker start and had a normal offseason. So you're right. I mean, as much as we want to say caution, it's May. There's a long time to go till we're even really doing real contact. I think it's just good to see him out there working with these new receivers. Like you mentioned, working with Jermaine Burton. Like it's exciting to see that, right? I hit a deep ball like to a rookie third-round pick with untapped upside. Absolutely. I mean, it's the perfect early May content. Like we're watching these videos and it's against air, but who cares? It's fun. And at the end of the day, the fact that Joe Burrow is even out there and doing that, I think has got to be encouraging.
Exactly. Now, I wish if this stupid weather would stop raining and kill all my allergies here, I would have been down on the bridge. But my allergies have been killing me all week, so I haven't been able to go down on the bridge. And I would love to watch it in person, but I haven't been able to do that. Let's see here. Andrew, let's put you up here. To see Burrow out there this early participating at this level is a great sign of recovery. Exactly. That's kind of what my point is. Dan Horde said in his tweet that if you, and we said this about his knee, I think too, if you wouldn't have told me he's come back from wrist surgery, you wouldn't be able to tell. And that's for Dan Horde, watching it on the field. So those are all, and the last time he came back from a season-ending surgery, we went to the Super Bowl, so who knows? Which brings me to the title of this show. Now, it looks like we have a healthy Joe Burrow. I mean, I'm not going to say completely healthy, but looking that way. If Joe Burrow is completely healthy, and we have the offense that we have now, and pitchers our new OC, does it go back to the way it was the last 2 years? Does the AFC North run through Cincinnati again? I want to say yes. I'm a homer, so I'm going to say. But you're a little more professional than I am, Dallas. Like I don't care. I think it runs through Cincinnati. So what's your thoughts? Where do you put this? The Bengals in this division. I know it's May. What was it? May 14th. May 14th. We got ways to go. But where are you at right now on the AFC North and the Bengals?
I think it's going to be again like among the most competitive divisions in the NFL. Like I think that the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Browns all have really, really good rosters. I'm doing an article that'll probably come out tomorrow. I'm going to rank all the NFL rosters, not including quarterback. And I'm going to have the Browns in the top 5. Like, I think they have just an excellent roster. It's just a question of how Deshaun Watson plays next season. We all know the Ravens have a really good roster too. Lamar Jackson and coming off a second MVP, but I think they actually do have a decent amount of holes. They've lost a lot of talent.
I think they've fallen back a little bit. They're still good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think they've got significant holes at guard. They've got significant questions at receiver, at edge. And I think they had a good draft. They got Nate Wiggins in the first round. They got Roger Rosengarten in round 2. Probably going to be immediate starters. But I do think there's a chance they take a step back. And then the Steelers, I don't really know what to make of the Steelers. I mean, it kind of feels like they'll be in the same range as normal, right? I mean, I don't have a problem with what they did at quarterback. Like, you've given up on Kenny Pickett. That's fine. I think that was pretty obvious to anybody that he wasn't going to be the long-term starter there. So you don't have a high pick. You go out and get Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Like I thought that was a pretty creative solution, at least to give yourself a chance at quarterback. But the whole rest of the roster, there's other questions on the rest of the roster. I just don't know the upside. I think the Bengals have probably the highest ceiling and the highest floor of any team in the division. Honestly, I really do. I think the offseason was exactly what needed to be done. They patched all their holes that they really had, even in free agency, so that when they get to the draft, that they could truly take the best players at the premium positions. I know Lamar has 2 MVPs and is coming off his second one, but I still think Joe Burrow is probably the best quarterback overall in the division. And he's the guy I would want in crunch time when it really comes down to it. I really am really pleased with how the Bengals handled their offseason. Even if some of the other teams in the division had good off seasons too, I just think with Joe Burrow back healthy and with some of the additions they made, I would say that going in all health, health provided and all that, I think that I like their roster and their situation the best going into next year.
And just to let you know, we got a superstar in the chat here. We got Mon from the Bengals Pulse. But yeah, he's talking the offensive line shuffle at Baltimore could be an issue. I think and I think they lost some on defense too. The defense is still gonna be good, but they lost. Who was it?
Patrick Queen left and he signed with the Steelers, right. and then Geno Stone obviously came to sign with the Bengals. Yeah. So that's Jadeveon Clowney had a best season of his career. He's no longer there. And
where did he sign with?
He signed with the Panthers. He actually didn't have to wait till August to sign for once, which he seemingly always has to.
That's always his thing.
But yeah, the offensive line in Baltimore, I mean, I think it's a concern. They're losing 60% of their starters from last year, both guards and their right tackle. So yeah, Roger, like I mentioned, Rosengarten is probably going to start at right tackle, but they're both their guard spots. We have no idea who's going to play there. Ronnie Stanley at left tackle misses half the games every year. It's just lock that in. So there are definitely questions. There are definitely questions in Baltimore.
I'll go back to your Squealers point, and I hate to give them credit, but yeah, getting Russell Wilson and then getting Fields. I mean, honestly, I think he's going to be the starting quarterback by the end of the season. I think for their future, that's what they want to happen because Russell Wilson isn't going to be here, for that long. And I hate giving them credit, but they do stuff right so many times. As far as developing players and everything, I think Justin Fields. It looked like he was starting to turn a corner there in Chicago, and I understand why they gave up on him. I would have too to go get the two players they got, but this could be a really good spot for Justin Fields. Now, that being said, he's no Joe Burrow. I still think we have, even Lamar Jackson, all respect, he's won back-to-back MVPs. When it comes to big games, I've noticed it seems like he shrinks. He's got 1-2 playoff wins right now, so and 2 MVPs, which that's great, but you're not doing a whole lot in the playoffs. So that's where, to me, it's nut cutting time. You got to do something in the playoffs to be considered up there where Burrow is. I mean, and in our division, one that's went to the Super Bowl in our division is Joe Burrow, that's leading this quarterback. So that's where I'm at with that. And this is one thing I want to talk about too is the wrinkles that Dan Pitcher is going to put into this offense, because we're going to see more tight ends. We drafted 2 of them. We signed Gesicki. I think that's going to be another wrinkle that we haven't seen in this offense that I think Joe Burrow has been clamoring for. I know everybody keeps saying Burrow doesn't throw to tight ends much. He had one guy, one tight end that he trusted to really throw the ball to. Now he's going to have Gesicki. He's already got Tanner Hudson. That is if Tanner makes the team, which we'll have to see. But they got the 2 rookies. If all can stay healthy and play, that's a really good one. So I think we're going to have multiple tight end sets more this year than we had last year. What's your thoughts on the tight end position in general?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that now that Tyler Boyd is no longer here, and I think the Bengals were going to use more of a rotation at wide receiver 3. So Jermaine Burton, Charlie Jones, Andre Yoshivas, Trent Irwin. I think they'll probably all see time, but I don't think the Bengals are going to be as limited to like the 3 wide receiver 11 personnel sets. At least as like committed to that as they've been. And yeah, I think that a couple of points that you mentioned are definitely true, that they've got so many tight end options now that gives them a chance to get some different looks, some more versatility. I think having a guy like Gesicki and Sample can work really well, just based on how Gesicki is such a good receiver, can't really block. Sample is kind of the opposite, right? I think those 2 will work in tandem so well that I think you will see a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets with those 2 specifically on the field. Tight ends typically for rookies usually takes them a while to get worked in. It's just typically a difficult position, especially if a guy like Eric All, we don't know if he's going to be injured.
He might
if he's
just take a red shirt year. You never know.
Yeah, like even if he starts the season on the PUP list or something, it's hard to count too much on those rookies, but maybe by the end of the season they're doing something. But I think that with Hudson, again, if he makes the roster, with Gesicki, with Sample, you've got enough of a base where you can allow those guys to develop, right? Where you're not pressing them into action in week 1. So I think that's good. And then I think we've talked about it before too, that the Bengals for the first time have a lot of new voices on their offensive staff. They have it's not just Dan Pitcher, it's Jordan Salkin and other coaches that they've added this offseason. The first time that their continuity, their offensive staff has really been disrupted. Maybe that's not going to be a good thing, and that continuity was good, but I'm looking at it in a positive way. And I think the Bengals are too, that there's going to be some new ideas, some new voices, new wrinkles, like the term you used. I think it's going to be good overall to see a little bit of change on this offense, because not that it's gone stagnant, but there has been a lot of sameness over these past couple of years. So to get something a little different, I think will be good.
One thing I am concerned about, and who brought this up here? Andrew. Yeah. Also tells other teams, is that it? Are you talking about the run defense here? I wasn't it. He made a comment here about the Bengals' run defense, and I am concerned about that. With that being said, we didn't have a very good run defense last year with DJ Reader in there. Now we got Tyler Shelvin. Not Tyler Shelvin. We got DJ. Wrong big guy.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. With the 3 guys we got in there now, Rankins and BJ Hill and the kid from Michigan. Slips my name.
Chris Jenkins. Chris Jenkins.
Yep. Those 3. I think we got a rotation like we had, close to what we had for a Super Bowl run, but losing BJ is going to be a hard one to replace. What's your feeling on the run defense? One other thing, too. I think with having Stone and Bell back there, we're going to get our defense set sooner, which could help the run as well. What's your thoughts on those 2 things?
I think that's a good point. I think that having Stone and Bell back there is going to help limit some of those communication mistakes too that have led to those huge gaps that have allowed these massive explosive plays. Like guys are just going to be in the right spot. Not to pick on Nick Scott from last year, but he just seemed like he was in the wrong position a lot, missing a lot of tackles. Like I trust Geno Stone and Von Bell in that situation more than I did the options they had last year. And yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be tough to lose DJ Reader, but maybe in the aggregate, maybe this defensive tackle rotation, I think, has gotten better. Definitely from a pass rush perspective. From a run defense perspective, I think it remains to be seen. I do think Chris Jenkins is going to be a pretty ready-made NFL run defender. Like, even if he's not doesn't have that pass rush upside that a DJ Reader came with, I think Chris Jenkins is ready to be an NFL run defender from day one. What is McKinley Jackson going to offer, right? I mean, I think that if there's one thing he can do, it's stop the run. So is he going to be able to do that from week 1? I don't know. I think a lot of people had a lower grade on him than the 3rd round. we'll just have to see. I mean, I think that's the kind of what the Bengals are banking on is we've got these younger guys in here that run defense is their primary skill. Can that help replace what DJ Reader brought last year? And I think that's what they're planning on.
Yeah, McCollum, that's what I'm curious about because that was the only one in the draft we talked about this that I think all of us are in agreement. It was a reach, but they did it because I think they didn't think he's going to be there or anybody was going to be there later in the rounds to get somebody. They had to get somebody, which you never want to draft anybody like that, but sometimes I won't say you have to. The other guys they could have drafted, but if they felt like they needed that guy there to help the run defense, which is a big issue for this team. Now, hopefully McCollum can come in, and he's not going to start, but if he can get in that rotation, and that to me, Dallas, I love rotations on defense because it keeps everybody fresh. And the fresher you can keep our guys, the better they are for going after the quarterback, stopping the run, all that stuff. So more guys you can rotate in and out, which is what we had on our Super Bowl run. We had that a lot. I think we got a chance of getting that this year. Because on the outside, I think Myles Murphy is I got a feeling he's really going to step up and have a really good year this year. Now, I say that I thought Joseph Ossai would last year, and he barely could see the field. Now, Joseph Ossai, he's got to do something this year if he wants another contract or any kind of contract next year because he had such a lackluster season last year, which was surprising to me. What's your thoughts on Myles Murphy and Joseph Ossai?
Yeah, I'm expecting more definitely out of both of them. I had huge expectations for Ossai last year too. It's still one of like the biggest question marks of the season for me is like what happened there. I know he had the high ankle sprain
because he's injured all year.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean he had the high ankle sprain in training camp, but like usually those things don't last all season. So I don't know. It was just kind of surprising because I had very high expectations for him as well. Yeah, Myles Murphy I think showed a little bit more near the end of the year, and I expect him to see more playing time, probably at the expense of Sam Hubbard going into next year. I would think that, especially on passing downs, that we'll see Myles Murphy out there a lot more.
Do you think you see Sam more on the inside?
Yeah, I think you could see that too. Yeah,
that's why I think Sam's going to be more on the inside this year than he will play outside. But I think he's played more inside this year than he has in the past because of Myles Murphy.
Yeah, I could see that. How do you see the defensive tackle room like shaking out? Like, do you think Zach Carter is a guarantee to make the roster? Like BJ Hill, Rankins, Jenkins, Jackson, that's 4. Is it like could Jay Tufele maybe beat out Zach Carter? Could be Travis Bell here? They claimed him for a reason. Like who knows? I don't know. Zach Carter's an interesting one to me. Yeah, Zach
Carter is the most talented one, but he has never, shown. He's shown bits and pieces of, it, but never on a consistent basis. That's been his problem. If he'd shown that more consistently, we would be drafting some of the guys we drafted or signing Rankins. So.
He's the Jackson Carmen of the defensive tackle.
I mean, he's a coin flip, man, to be honest. I can see him making the team, and I can see him on a practice squad next year or on somebody else's team. It just depends. Because with the 4 guys we got, if they all play, we're not going to need Zach a ton, but we are going to need him. So that depends on how much the Bengals want to hang on to him, as if they still see there's something there that could turn into something. I don't know. That's just Jay Tufele. I think another one who's flashed a lot last year.
I think Jay Tufele has like undoubtedly been a better player than Zach Carter. It's just do the Bengals still believe in Zach Carter's upside? And is that if he's not going to have to be a starter, does that make him more likely to stick around? That he's going to maybe be an inactive, right? And he could just. Do they think he could be claimed off waivers? There's a lot of considerations when you're thinking about a guy who was a 3rd-round pick just 2 years ago. I think there's a lot to take into account.
That's the thing. He's a 3rd-round pick. What was Tufele? What was he picked? So
the Bengals got him off waivers.
Yeah. That's where I'm like, they value.
He was a 4th-round pick. So he was a Jacksonville 4th-round pick.
Okay, but he wasn't a Bengals draft pick.
Not a Bengals draft pick.
So that's where I'm like, I wonder if they valued their own. More than we scouted this guy. We wanted to develop this guy, but I like Tufele a lot. I mean, I think he flashed a lot last year, to be honest. So I mean, we're talking right now, May 14th. I'm taking Tufele over Zach Carter right now. But I have no, we'll see what happens in minicamp and training camp and all that stuff. We got ways to go. But those are fun discussions to have. And the thing is, what's cool about it, Dallas, is we're talking about our 4th guy.
Right.
We're not talking about starters. So. This is a great conversation to have. We were talking about the backups. I love these conversations.
It is. And it's like, it reminds me of going into last year when like the number one conversation I feel like we were all having was who's going to be the backup quarterback. It's like, that's a pretty good place to be. Like the roster is in a pretty good spot when like these are the discussions that we're having. Who's going to be the fourth cornerback? Who's going to be the fifth defensive tackle? Like, yeah, the baseline starting level talent on this team is pretty damn good.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to happen. And that's what I was trying to tell Bengals fans. Like when players like TB leave, which I hated seeing Tyler Boyd leave, but you knew he was going to go. But that's the thing that happens when you have a championship team. And Joe Burrow has said it, the championship window is his entire career. There's going to be lots of Bengals that we love that are going to leave. As long as Joe Burrow is healthy and he's under center, we got a chance to win that Super Bowl. So your favorite players, that's why I always say I love the players, but I love the Bengals. So, I want them to win the Super Bowl. So that's where the rotation of guys coming in and out and not being here for the duration is going to happen. I mean, I hate to say it, but look at the Chiefs. Look at the Patriots. I mean, Patriots, it was Belichick and Brady. And Kraft, that was it. It was 21 years or whatever, but it was a long time. Let's see here. Another good. Oh, yeah. I want to bring you this up back to the tight end room. And this is, like I said, somebody brought up a chat, and I thought we might be able to sneak him in there. What if you listed Sample as a fullback or H-back, and that would probably be the end of Chris Evans, but they don't use him anyway. But, you still could use him because they have used him as a fullback. And that way you could get all four tight ends, Gesicki, Tanner Hudson, and the two rookies, all under, on the roster at the same time. That's just a thought that we've had in the chat. What's your thoughts on listing Drew Sample as a fullback or H-back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really matters what they list him. I mean, they can keep whoever they want. I think that like using him in that role though definitely makes some sense. Yeah, if they want to do that, it's not something they've really done, but yeah, I think it can make some sense. I mean, he's good at blocking. Why not line him up in the backfield and let him block too? I mean, he obviously did that as like a third down passing back for the Bengals last year. Basically turned into the Bengals third down blocking back. Playing fullback, I don't think would be that much different. Yeah. I mean, I use him there in Madden to block on goal line formations.
well, Doug,
it works
pretty well
for me. So
yeah, it works in Madden. You should definitely work on the actual field. I mean, come on.
I think in the Madden defaults to the backup tight end being your fullback and goal line formations. So that's why he's there. But he gets the job done for me. So I think it's pretty good.
Speaking of goal line formations, I can't wait to see Mims right next to either Trent Brown or Orlando Brown on goal line.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah.
I'm going to be just. I mean, if I'm at the game, I'll be jumping up and down like, "Let's go!" Because we're going to blast some people. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody here talking about the running backs here. Yeah, Brad. And I do agree with this too. With the departure of Joe Mixon, again, one of my favorite players. I love Joe Mixon. But with the departure of him, the new running backs will allow different schemes. That's what I think too. They're different. They're different backs. They're the same type of back, but they're completely different than what Mixon provides. That's where I think we're going to get maybe more bubble screens, more plays out of the backfield and stuff, more tosses or something. It's going to be something different than just hand the ball off every time to Mixon and let him run up the middle.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about what the Bengals have at running back. Maybe I'm the low man or the high man on Zach Moss. Like I was really high on the Bengals, even on Zach Moss before the Bengals signed him. I'm glad they did, and I think he's going to be a great option as a powerful back. But I think he can also pass protect. I think he can also catch the ball, and then adding that to Chase Brown. I know we didn't see a full-time workload last year, but I like the flashes I saw. I mean, I think he was so explosive and so dynamic that I can't get the idea of that pairing. I know it's kind of cliche to say thunder and lightning, but like that's what it is. That's what I like. Mm-hmm. I think that building your running back room like that is good to have different types of roles and different types of responsibilities and things that guys are good at. I think that's what the Bengals have done. I do think there's like still a place for another running back in this depth chart though. Were you surprised they didn't draft a running back? I was surprised.
I was. Yeah. I wanted the kid out of Notre Dame. I can't remember his name right now.
Audric Estime. Yeah.
His thighs are like freaking tree trunks. They're huge. That's what I wanted. I
was eyeing him. I thought Tyrone Tracy from Notre Dame was like a converted wide receiver. I thought that could have been an interesting kind of skill set to add, but they didn't do it. So, I don't know. We had Ian Cummings on our show to talk about Noah Cain and Elijah Collins, the UDFA free agents that the Bengals signed. And he wasn't that high on them. He didn't
Yeah.
didn't seem like he thought they were much of a threat to even like a Travion Williams, to a Chris Evans. So unless the Bengals go out and sign, I don't know, are they going to go out and sign like a Jerick McKinnon? I think he's still a free agent. Like, I don't know. I think
that's the question. Who's left out there?
Yeah, I think the Bengals are kind of telling us like we like Zach Moss and Chase Brown,
Yeah,
and we're pretty intent on that.
I think they like who they got. Now, Brian here has got a interesting question. Do you think the Bengals and Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day? I'd be for it, but I don't know. I mean, if this goes to people who say the NFL doesn't like the Bengals, they don't want to put them in this position. I could see it. I think it'd be a good showdown. I mean, it would make my Thanksgiving, but I don't know. What's your thought? You think they'd ever put the Bengals? First of all, have the Bengals ever played on Thanksgiving? Not that I remember. Off the top of my head,
I have no idea.
I don't think they have. But,
let's see. It looks like maybe in 2010 they played the Jets in 2010. I think they might have. I think they might have. Yeah. It appeared on Thanksgiving, November 25th, 2010, a rematch of the 2009 AFC wildcard game. I don't remember this game. It says they lost by 26-10.
It's probably I don't
this
remember.
This is on from stripehype.com. So if this is incorrect, you can go to stripehype.com and tell them. But so I don't know. I think it'd be good. Weren't there rumors that the Bengals were going to be on Black Friday, the Black Friday game? But
that's what it was. Yeah. I think they actually like requested to try to make that their
that's right.
game,
yeah.
their Thanksgiving game. That's what they requested last year, and that got denied.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see them play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I think that'd be a great matchup. It'd be really fun. Trevon Diggs and Deron Bland against T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Like, yeah, sign me up for that.
Hell yeah. I cannot wait. So what you guys got coming up here on Pro Football Network? You got anything interesting on the podcast coming up soon? You got any...
Yeah. So Jay is on vacation. Was on vacation this week. He's getting some sun and some live music down in Florida. So I had Brooke Pryor from ESPN. She is their Steelers reporter over at ESPN. I had her on the podcast this week, and we kind of just did state of the AFC North, just kind of looking at some of the stuff that we talked about just now, about the biggest weaknesses, holes, and biggest questions that we have for all these teams going into next year. We talked a little bit about the Steelers earlier, Jeff, and Brooke was agreeing with us that she thinks Justin Fields will be the Steelers starter by the end of the year. It just makes too much sense. He's like 10 years younger than Russell Wilson. Like, what are you getting out of Russell Wilson?
Why wouldn't they want him to do it? That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Unless Russ somehow just keeps them in contention, they normally do. I think we'll have to see Field. And then there's also, Jalen Warren telling a podcast that the Steelers may use Justin Fields on kick returns. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm like, really?
Which I'm all for. I think that'd be fun.
Well,
that'd be a lot of fun.
They've done it before. I mean, the Slash back in the 90s.
That's right.
Cordell Stewart, he did it before he became the quarterback. He did it.
That's right. I would love to see it. Brooke was saying that they're Danny Crossman, their Steelers special teams coordinator, is very creative, but they also did sign Cordero Patterson this offseason, who's like arguably the greatest kick return in the history of the NFL. So I don't know if you're going to be taking him off the field to put a quarterback on the field. But
yeah. Good. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, otherwise with PFN, it's just, we'll have a bunch of schedule release content coming out tomorrow with the schedule release coming out, and then heading into off-season stuff, lots of rankings and all that fun speculation stuff that everybody loves to read.
So talking about kick return, punt return, all that stuff, it's going to be different this year. I've been trying to rack my brain. Chuck Sizzle, Charlie Jones is the only one on the roster right now, unless you want to do Burton, which Burton could be a good one if you want to put him back there. But who are you thinking they might be? Because they can't touch him, or they can't do anything till they can't move to the ball till the receiver catches the ball.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a running start. They're going to be able to make some plays. So you want a guy who's back there, athletic, and they're not going to take the big hits that they used to take. So you could put some of the guys that you normally wouldn't put back there. So you could put Burton back there. That one, honestly, that one would be, I think, phenomenal if you put him back there. What's your thoughts?
I think any of like the backup receivers are intriguing. Like, I'd love to see what Yoshivas could do, given because you're right. It's going to be so different. I'm envisioning like actual plays being drawn up, basically. Right. So I think there is room to get creative. Darren Simmons is one of the most respected special teams coordinators in the NFL. I think he's got a lot of ideas probably bubbling around his brain of how are we going to make the most of these new rules? And I think Charlie Jones, Jermaine Burton, Yoshivas, I think all those guys are pretty exciting. options to handle that role. I think you've got to throw in like Travion Williams and Chris Evans if they make the roster. They're just not as exciting options to me. Like I would.
Burton gets me excited just thinking about. I just thought about that while I was talking about. Holy crap, that would be awesome to see him back there.
It would be. I mean, you can put 2 returners back now. So you put him and Yoshivas and you run some reverses or some pitches or like you really do get creative. And I think there will be a fine line because there's always that fine line between getting too cute and trying to be a little more creative. Like who can forget Tyler Boyd's interception to the Jaguars last year? Like that's what you don't want to happen.
Right.
You don't want the egg to be on your face, but you also, it's hard enough to create explosive plays on offense as is. I think this is like, if you can get really creative and get some interesting designs and looks, like this is just a way to steal some free yards, I think. And
absolutely,
I'm hoping the Bengals do that.
No, I gotta give Porkchop credit for this. Is elite. Put Mims back there. Let him walk into the end zone.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Can you imagine? Oh my god!
Would you want to get in his way? I'm like, nope. There you go. There's the end zone right there. We talked about this on my show with the guys from Bengals and Brews about putting Mims in there on the goal. Like I said, goal line stands to run over. Just let him go out there and make a pass. Put him behind the freaking line. Let it be Refrigerator Perry. I mean, dude is athletic. I mean, if they want to get creative, as long as Trent Brown stays healthy, because knock on wood,
yeah.
I'll be surprised if he stays healthy, if he plays every single game. I think Mims is going to get a starter too, because I don't think Trent's going to be able to make every. I don't think he's going to have a season-ending injury. He's going to have something nagging or something. But do something kind of cool with Mims at the beginning of the year. I think would be awesome.
Hey, we talked about Sample moving to fullback. Why can't Mims line up at fullback in the goal line? Why? I mean, I think it would be incredible. Other teams do that. Other teams do stuff like that. Other team. I forget who the Saints use. Is it like Kalen Saunders or one of their defensive tackles? They line up as a fullback in their goal line formations. Like it can be done.
That's the stuff Bengals fans have been clamoring for. Be creative. Do something outside of the box. We got all this talent and use it. Do something that nobody expects, because I keep going back to this game. The best the offense to me last year looked was against the Sucky Niners. Yeah. They never knew if we were running the ball, throwing the ball. They had no clue. The whole game, they never knew. We had them on defense. They didn't know what our defense was doing. We got 2 interceptions by both our linebackers, Logan Wilson and Pratt. They both got interceptions that game. Jackpot was playing great. I want that offense. And Joe is under center a lot, which that's where I think we're all in agreement. Joe's going to be under center a lot more this year, which I think that was a plan last year until he got hurt.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. That there was so much under center in that game that it gave them that optionality, I think, to do things a little bit different, to keep the 49ers on their toes. I'm right there with you. I would love to see more of that going into next year, and I think we will. I think we would have kept seeing that had Burrow not gotten injured. I think we would have seen that kept more into the offensive plan. So I'm right there with you. I think given the struggles the Bengals have had to run the ball on a consistent basis, getting under center, I think is gonna help with that. Just on that efficiency on a per down to down basis, I think keeping you ahead of the sticks, keeping you on schedule. Like I really do think to get a more consistent run game, under center is going to need to be a bigger part of this plan. I think it will be.
Yes, I think it will be too. And the other thing I can't wait to see is what they're going to do with Jamar, because I think with the addition of Burton, that frees up Jamar. You don't have to have him on the outside all day. You can put him on the inside. You can put him in the backfield. You can do all kinds of stuff with him. That's what I want to see. How creative can Dan Pitcher be with one of the best athletes in the NFL in Jamar Chase? Go use him like San Francisco uses Debo. They do that, dude. This offense, I really think this year's offense. I've said this. I think this year's offense, on paper, it's May 14th. On paper, I think could be the most talented and diverse that Burrow has had, with the different things that they could do with this offense.
I definitely agree. I think that the offensive line situation is the best it's been in quite a while. I think that you're set up with depth there, even if a Trent Brown goes down, you've got Mims to go to back him up. You've got options that again are going to give you more flexibility at wide receiver. You've got the tight ends. I think you're not going to be as locked into certain maybe patterns and I guess breaking tendencies a little bit. That's what I'd like to see.
Yes, exactly.
It felt like that at times you just knew what the Bengals were going for, what their plan was, what they were going to do. You're right. I think with this combination of players, with this combination of new voices and the coaching staff, we should see something a little bit more varied. And I think it'll be good.
Speaking of the running game here, Pork Chop's got another one. He said, that makes sense to me, but I did hear that Zach Moss actually runs really good out of the shotgun. What do you think?
I think there are numbers that show he is better out of the shotgun than out of under center. I think you're right about that.
I mean, they will run out of shotgun. It's not going to be completely.
Yeah, they definitely will. Yeah.
Because Joe likes shotgun better than under center, so they're going to do that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And some of those numbers I think can be small sample size sometimes. I don't know how often Zach Moss was doing each of those type of runs, and he's not a guy that has like a long track record in the NFL. So I don't know. I think it's a valid point, but they still will run out of shotgun. They'll still do plenty of shotgun work. I just want to see a little more under center of that traditional. Yeah, that's just a little bit more. I think would be good.
Yeah, just throw people off. Just like just don't be so predictable. I mean, we don't have to be like Hugh when he was our offense coordinator and have our right tackle out in the flat. We don't have to do anything that crazy. Just do something a little different. And
I still have a screenshot of that play. It was against the Ravens, I think that you're talking. That play. Andre Smith split out. It just looks so ridiculous.
He's in the wide receiver stance too. It's like, you are not going to get a pass.
I know, it was so like him trying to be athletic. It was just so funny. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I hope we don't see anything like that. Let's hope.
No, I hope not too. But yeah, I said, long as we stay healthy, it's Super Bowl or bust for me. And I agree with what you said on the offensive line. Now, one thing, I had a couple guys from draft, Gridiron Grades. They really loved our center we got in the 7th round, Matt Lee. They really liked him a lot. Or so much so where they said potentially maybe he could be, again, I love Teddy K, but they said it, that he could be the Teddy Karras replacement for next year. What's your thoughts on Matt Lee? I never heard of the guy. When they drafted him, he's a 7th round pick. I'm like, okay, he's a backup guy. And then these guys come in like, oh, well, you never know. He's pretty good. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you guys know more than I do.
Oh, yeah. I don't really have much of an opinion on Matt Lee. I do know that Gridiron Grading, I've seen their stuff that they like his. I guess he's undersized, but they like his production. They like his testing. The thing I would say is that if you look at just the history of the NFL draft, center is definitely a position that you can find in round 6 and 7, almost to the point where like that's where you should be drafting these guys. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to take a center in the 1st round. The value, you're just not going to get the value. A center who's drafted in round 1 is probably already going to become one of the top 8 to 10 highest paid centers in the NFL. Right. Ted Karras makes like $6 million a year. He's in the top 10 of the highest paid centers. Like I'm positive on that. I just did an article about it. I know he is. I just think that if you're going to take shots on interior line, that's a really good spot to do it. You look around the league, there are tons of starting centers who are taken 6th, 7th round, even undrafted free agency. So like, I don't have much of an opinion on Matt Lee myself, but just from a game theory and looking back at the history of the draft, I love that strategy of trying to find a potential starter late in the round. And if there's one spot you're going to do it, I think it is center.
Well, it's one thing I've been saying too is we got to get some of this money off of our offensive line. We got to be able to draft and develop guys. And if you can hit, again, I love Ted Karras, but if you can draft and develop a guy, because you got Orlando Brown, you got who he's going to come up here in a couple of years. Alex Karras is coming up a year after next. So if you can get if you draft 2 guys this year, that could be your starting right tackle and your starting center the next year. That you hit the ball out of the ballpark in the draft just in that alone.
The real savings is going to be if Amarius Mims is like an all-pro level player, because if he's a top 3 right tackle, that's $24-25 million a year. What's he making a year? $7-8 million. That's a massive savings. That's 15, 16, 17, $18 million. That's a whole nother like Pro Bowl caliber player you can go out and buy on the free agent market because you're not having to pay for an offensive tackle. So That's why I always love the Bengals stick to those premium positions in the early rounds, because that's why you do it. It makes the most financial sense. You're going to get the most surplus value by doing that.
I think when I talk like this is when I take my orange-colored sunglasses off, because again, it's going to kill me to see Teddy Karras in another uniform. But I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I can definitely see if Matt Lee progresses enough, it makes financial sense to do it, because you got to sign Jamar. Still, I think Grasham gets straws, but hopefully we sign T. I don't think that's going to happen. But there's other guys that we're going to have to sign, and you got to get these contracts down on. We have one of the most expensive offensive lines in football. I mean, we pay way too much money for our offensive line because we've sucked at drafting and developing guys, so we had to do it.
The money is going to have to be moved around somewhere. Especially once Burrow's cap hit starts going up into that big range. We know the Bengals are not the type of team who's going to say, okay, Joe, we'll convert your base salary into a signing bonus and we'll drop your cap hit by $30 million. They're just not going to do that, most likely. The Bengals.
It would be nice if they would.
Yes and no. Yes and no, right? I mean, with Burrow, yes, I think it would be, because Burrow's going to be here for a long time. Mm-hmm. On other positions, I think it's probably financially smart to not get yourself in those kind of big commitments that other teams do with constant restructures, where you're not able to cut guys down the road that you want to cut because it'll destroy your cap. So I think there's ways the Bengals could do stuff like that, but I don't think we're going to. So I think it's pointless to even discuss. So You're right. They're going to have to find the savings somewhere. If that's offensive line, if that's, they're pretty cheap at cornerback right now, maybe in a couple of years, maybe, when Wilson and Pratt's extensions at linebacker are up, maybe they have to go cheap at linebacker. There's all sorts of combinations, I think, and permutations, but end of the day, you're right. The savings has to come from somewhere.
Now you brought cornerback up. That brings me to Dax Hill. They're going to try him at outside. I think athletically, speed-wise, he can do it. He's never done it before. I think he's be fine in the slot. Do you see him eventually moving outside? I mean, I think Ivy or Turner are going to be our starter, next to CTB. Where do you see Dak? Do you see him making this transition pretty easily, or is it going to be kind of hairy?
I think it could be pretty hairy. I mean, he didn't play outside corner in college, right? I mean, I think it's going to be an all new experience. It is a different position. It requires different skill to play outside corner. I think he is athletic enough to do it, but this is the reason I think the Bengals should probably go out and sign a free agent corner before training camp starts. I just don't think you want to be relying on that as your backup plan. Like, even if we assume that DJ Turner and CTB are the starters, one of them goes down, you're just relying on Dax Hill, a guy who's never played outside corner in the NFL. You're relying on him against Patrick Mahomes, against a Josh Allen. I don't know about that. Okay, who's your next option? It's Josh Newton, a 5th-round rookie? I don't know about that either. Like, DJ Ivy, well, he's coming off a torn ACL. He could be on the PUP list to start the season. I think that's a spot where I would love to see the Bengals. I don't think they're going to go sign Stephon Gilmore like that necessarily. But
his name keeps coming. How old is Stephon Gilmore now?
I would say 33, if I had to guess. 34, if I had to guess. But there's other guys too, like Steven Nelson is out there. He's a guy who kept coming back. He played for the Texans. He's played for the Eagles, Steelers. Just a competent cornerback. I think there are other guys out there that just to give you a little bit of experience, a little bit of depth, that if something happened, you're not having to rely on guys who either haven't played that position or have not even been in the NFL yet, like Josh Newton.
Yeah, I say, what's your thoughts on Josh Newton? I mean, that's another one that he could, but he might not make the team. I don't know.
I think he'll probably make the team, and I think he's the type of locker room guy the Bengals definitely want. I think he was a captain. He definitely seems like he's got the personality the Bengals are looking for in that side of the ball. I just be concerned about him if he had to be counted on in year one. I just think any 5th-round rookie at virtually any position, unless you're Puka Nacua, like you're not going to be that productive in year one. You've got a lot to learn. That's why you're a 5th-round pick. I think in a Super Bowl or bust type season, I'm not saying Josh Newton couldn't do it. I'm not saying Dax Hill couldn't do it, but you just want to have better contingency plans in place. I think
it's more of a hope. It's more of a hope. You don't want. Somebody told me you don't want hope. You want the hope they
can
have
a plan in place.
That I know they can do it, and that's kind of where we're at with those two. Is more of I hope they can.
And I think it's not like there's all sorts of other spots on the roster that I think the Bengals have to be concerned about at this point. Oh. To me, that just stands out as like the most obvious spot where they've got the cap space, they've got the need. I just think that if I were running the team, I'd go out. You've seen Baltimore do this in other offseason. Baltimore signs like 5-6 guys every summer who end up either making a Pro Bowl or having the best season of their career. I mean, it happened last year with Clowney, with Arthur Millette, with Geno Stone. It came back at a league minimum rate and then led the league in interceptions and then got the contract with the Bengals. There is still plenty of time, and there are options out there who I think can fit what the Bengals need. It's just a question of, are they going to get aggressive enough to go out and find one?
Yeah, I was on a podcast here Saturday night. Was it Jungle 9 podcast? Tebow, if I said it wrong, I apologize. But they asked me what was my biggest concern on the team. I said the same thing as outside cornerback. I mean, that's because if Turner goes down, or and you got Ivy coming back from ACL, or that's just scary right there. And well, Greg here, the safeties are great. I mean, Greg says NFL Sirius Radio rated our safeties in the top 10. I'm not worried about safeties. It's the corners. That's the thing. So, and it's just really just the backup. To be honest.
Right. And again, it's these are good problems to have. It's the cornerback 4 we're talking about. But safety's not a problem. I mean, they're 3 deep, depending on what you think about Tyson Anderson and his recovery. They could be 4 deep there, and they obviously drafted a guy too. So I'm curious to see kind of how that safety rotation works out. Like I think Von Bell and Geno Stone are your starters today. There you go. Exactly. Do you think 3 safeties?
Yeah.
I think a little bit, but
I can see it a little. Battle, yeah. I definitely can see it. Good.
I could. It's just, the Bengals like their nickel package they have with Mike Hilton in the slot. So I mean that somebody's going to have to leave the field in that scenario. I think I wonder if you see Battle kind of like he did this year, just take over more as the season progresses, right? And maybe not because Von Bell is even necessarily playing bad, but he's a little older. Maybe they manage his snaps a little bit. I think there's all sorts of things you could do to kind of make a role, make sure that everybody's kind of getting involved.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, Dallas, I appreciate you. We got 132 people watching the show live. I only got 5 likes. What the hell? Hit the likes. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you check out Dallas and everything him and Jay do over there at Pro Football Network. Make sure you check out their podcast. Plug some stuff before I let you go, Dallas. I appreciate you coming on again, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Pro Football Network Bengals podcast, usually on Tuesdays. We'll keep going throughout the summer. And then Pro Football Network schedule release stuff this week. Jay's Bengals coverage will be back next week when he gets back from vacation. And stuff throughout the summer, lists, evergreen stuff, rankings, speculation, all the stuff everyone loves.
Football, and more football.
All the time.
The way the Reds are playing right now, we're ready for the Bengals to come back around because that's right. They're killing me. They're killing me, Dallas. Like last week, we were upset. Last week I would have been ecstatic if they got like 10 hits and 5 runs. That'd be great. And then they did it last night and freaking lost. Like, you guys are killing me here.
It's not that long till training camp, right? Where it's just around the corner.
I want to feel better, so I go down there to the bridge. I miss going down the bridge. Anyway,
fingers crossed.
I'm gonna go take some more allergy medicine. Anyway, Dallas, I appreciate you, brother. Take it easy.
Thank you, sir. Yep. Talk to you soon.
See you, bud. Bye. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Dallas is an awesome dude. Make sure you guys go check everything that him and Jay Morrison do over there at Pro Football Network. Again, I got 132 people watching. I appreciate that. That is awesome. Well, all of you are watching. Please do me a favor. After you get off the show here, go to Midwest Best Barbecue and Creamery right out there on the east side, Ward's Corner exit. They have the best wings around. And this is coming from a West Sider. I love their wings. I don't get to eat their wings as much as I like to because they're 45 minutes from my house. But if you have a chance to go out there, check them out. Get you some CTB wings, some pulled pork sandwiches. Chop loves the macaroni and cheese. The cornbread is good. Like I said, you can literally take a dart and throw it at the menu, and whatever it hits, order it, and it will be absolutely delicious. Make sure you say hi to Tim and Nicole. Tell them Iceman sent you. And they are huge Bengals fans. Midwest Best Barbecue, Meyer Door and Windows, and more. I'm trying to figure out what the more is. So if you guys do me a favor, call or go set up an appointment with Meyer Door and Window at www.meyercincinnati.com. And when you get them to come out to your house and give you an free estimate for your windows, ask them what the more is. It's Meyer Windows, Doors, and more. Like what's the more? I have to find that out. But make sure you check them out. The great family-owned and operated company. Also, my West Side peeps, go check out this jewel of Cheviot. Hail Marys, your ticket to the game. They have a big ass TV screen, beer specials, food, all kinds of different food trucks there. And I always say this every time: free parking. If you've ever been to Cheviot, there's not a lot of parking. They have free parking right across the street. You can park there, walk across the street. You're in the door. It's easy to get in and out of. Hail Marys. Your ticket to the game. Tell them Iceman sent you. Like everybody. Do all this stuff. Tell them Iceman sent you. I'd appreciate it. All right, guys. Tomorrow, let me see. Who do I have on tomorrow? I think I got to try to find somebody tomorrow. Because I had somebody set up. And yeah, I got to find somebody tomorrow. So I will have a show. As long as I can find a guest, I have a show tomorrow. I got one. I got Wayne Boxmiller on Thursday. Friday, I will not be doing a show because my beautiful daughter is turning 20. So we're having her birthday party here Friday night. So I will not be doing a show tomorrow. As long as I can find a good guest to come on. And anyways, maybe I'll just come on and bullshit with you guys. Maybe it'll just be me tomorrow. But I'll definitely have Wayne Boxmiller on Thursday. Other than that, thanks for watching, guys. I've been live streaming on ZTV, YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. And by the way, NFL, you've been warned. Jackpot Joey's back, and we're going to win the fucking Super Bowl. Book it. That's your sports, baby. See ya!